right, the transfer portal. Bowl game has been buzzing. Been a lot going on the field. Make no mistake, though. This portal's still kicking. Really, even a few minutes before we even got on air, we were adding to this list. So I'm just going to give you the latest on the transfer portal. A couple of guys that are still uncommitted, that are available. I'll tell you what we're hearing right now. First and foremost, Sam Hartman. According to Pete Thamel via College Game Day yesterday, Notre Dame is still the expected pick. I put in quotes pick. This is what Pete Thamel said. That would be enormous for Notre Dame. You know my thoughts on this. We've said it before on here. I think that would be the biggest get of the Marcus Freeman era, and it would just add more versatility to what they can be as a program, because they won 8 games this year throwing 200 yards a game. You add Sam Hartman to the mix, and I fully believe that Notre Dame has every potential to be a New Year's Six football team. The playoff and all that, we'll talk about that as we get more into the season if he does go there and does have success. But just know, adding Sam Hartman changes the game for them. I'll also say this. You add Sam Hartman, you're able to then market much better to skill players in the portal. If he has success, you're able to spin that and market that to transfers, or excuse me, not transfers, high school recruiting, quarterbacks, and say you want to go be a high NFL draft pick, you want to go throw the ball around the yard. Sam Hartman did it. You can too. So that's a very big deal. Again, expected by the end of the week is what the buzz is, but we'll make sure we keep you updated to the best of our ability with Sam Hartman potentially picking Notre Dame. If you haven't yet subscribed, we got you. This is your place, man. The People Show. We say it all the time. It is everything that you know and that you love about college football. It's a 12-month-a-year sport. This show very much so operates in that fashion. There's no breaks, no vacations. We got you 12 months out of the year. Also, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JDPakel. We can have some interaction there, a lot of back and forth. It's a good deal. Would love to hear from y'all and would love to have some dialogue there. It's a great medium for us to do more of what you want then into this show. Another quarterback that is still available, Brennan Armstrong from Virginia. A lot of the buzz right now is around NC State because he would then become reunited with his offensive coordinator, Rob Anae. And that would be, I think, the most likely landing spot. It sounds, because when you're a quarterback, especially in Brennan Armstrong's position, being comfortable, being in a system that you know that you can succeed in, I think that's paramount. Because make no mistake, Brennan Armstrong, he wants to win some football games, and I think this would make NC State a very competitive team in the ACC. I think them and Clemson then become your 1 and 2. Maybe North Carolina becomes 2 or 3, another conversation. But you hear what I'm saying. NC State is instantly better. But for Brennan Armstrong, he is trying to help his draft stock. He wants to make money and play a long time in the NFL. And being in a system where he's comfortable and familiar and can be successful, NC State makes a lot of sense because of that previous relationship and previous success with his offensive coordinator that is now at NC State. Now, Pete Thamel also said that Auburn and Oklahoma State are in the mix. Oklahoma State, to me, makes more sense because it's a little bit more of a built-out program. Hugh Freeze and Auburn, a lot of transition, figured it out. Not saying it can't work. I'm just saying if draft stock is the hope, NC State makes more sense. Oklahoma State then in that 2 spot for me. Spencer Sanders, the buzz around him. Both Auburn and Ole Miss are being linked to the previous Oklahoma State quarterback. Just like I said with Auburn, to me, it's a high-risk, high-reward scenario for the quarterback because Hugh Freeze is a quarterback whisperer. He's done really great things with quarterbacks in the past. Just look at Malik Willis, making him a draft pick. But the reality is you don't know what that roster is going to look like, especially after spring football. Maybe they'll go in the portal and they'll revamp it. I think they have a really good chance to do that. But you're sort of gambling there. You're gambling on what they will be as a quarterback. And as a quarterback, to some respect, you're only as good as what's built out around you. So Hugh Freeze is the appealing piece, but in the SEC, you better have all 11 on the offensive side ready to roll. SEC exposure could also help him, but that's also something that's available to him at Ole Miss. And Ole Miss, to me, the downside is you got to go in, you got to compete with Jackson Dart, and you got to prove that you're the guy for the job, and Jackson Dart already started this year, so maybe it's an uphill battle. But here's my thought when it comes to Spencer Sanders and Ole Miss. Ole Miss ran the football about as much as anybody last year. You look at the percentage of run plays called for Ole Miss in terms of like the stat sheet and how it ranks. You got the academies and you got Ole Miss. So they're going to pound the rock. And Spencer Sanders, one of his best attributes, in my opinion, is his athleticism and what he does when he decides to tuck it in run. Jackson Dart's real good thrower of the football. In my opinion, I think he's better than what he showed this year. But the way this system operates, it would be something Spencer Sanders is familiar with, and it would accentuate his athletic ability. So keep an eye on that. Ole Miss would be the preferred spot that I think he should go to, but Ole Miss and Auburn are both in the mix for him. Obviously, Spencer Sanders adds experience. He adds athleticism, like we just said. He helps you as a program. So Ole Miss and Auburn are both battling for the former Oklahoma State signal caller, or so it sounds. Dante Cephas, Kent State wide receiver. All signs, according to Pete Thamel, again, this is per Pete Thamel yesterday on College Game Day, is pointing towards Pitt. Now, the RPM for us is pointing towards Penn State. Keep in mind, that is something that is very much so dependent on other people's picks, and if there's only one pick in, then it would lean pretty hard that way. But he's a Pittsburgh native. Either one of these schools, he immediately makes better. Very productive, immediate contributor. He had 82 catches, 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns in 2021. Was a little bit less productive than that this season. But Dante Cephas is a guy, like I said, immediately at your wide receiver room, you have a wide receiver one caliber player. Makes your offense better and would help both of those quarterbacks transitioning forward. For Penn State especially, if Drew Aller becomes the guy, to have a guy as proven as Dante Cephas on the outside, that could be a very nice combo. So it's Pitt and Penn State for the Pittsburgh native, but he is, it sounds like, down to those two schools. Keep an eye on that. Anthony Lucas, before we got on air, Texas A&M defensive lineman, said he's going to be in the portal. Was a 4-star out of high school, and looking at his recruitment out of high school, he took the most visits to Alabama, took a couple unofficial visits to Alabama to see Nick Saban. And the reason why I bring this up is for a guy who was just in high school, a year and a half ago, I think it's fair to assume that the hometown, so the Arizona schools, and where he was interested in out of high school make a lot of sense. Alabama, to me, would be the leader in the clubhouse if you're looking at it that way. Notre Dame was also on the table when he made his decision. Keep an eye on that. He's a guy who, like I said, is extremely talented. A lot of other services we're very high on, as well as us here at On 3. We had him at a 4-star. He's likely someone that you plug and play day one, has an elite frame for what he could be at this level, and someone who I think just needs to develop a little bit more, or so it sounds like. But the reality is the upside with him is tremendous. I mean, he is a guy that could really blossom into a really, really special player for you. But Anthony Lucas deciding he is going to be in the transfer portal here in the near future. Last one for you, got a commitment. Fentrell Cypress is going to Florida State. He was all ACC a season ago for Virginia. And the reality for Florida State is they are just going to keep the standard high for what they have in the secondary. They were top 10 in the country last year in terms of yards allowed passing per a game, right around 170. Fentrell Cypress, I would expect no drop-off due to his contributions. He's locked down on that side of the field. He was one of the top players in the transfer portal from our player portal rankings here at On 3. He is a dude. He is a day one player. He is going to get drafted in the NFL when his time is done in Tallahassee. Okay, a very, very big dog player for them, an alpha of sorts. And this is a big get for Florida State. But reading between the lines here, Florida State continues to go to work in the portal. Just like going to Publix, going down whatever aisle, whatever position group they need and saying, you want to come play for us? Great, okay, jump on board, let's make some magic. Like, Florida State, to me, is becoming more and more so a destination for some of these top guys. Remember, Jaheim Bell, he's gone to Florida State. Fentrell Cypress, he's going to Florida State. Guys that could play in a lot of other programs are picking Mike Norvell in Tallahassee. And I'm just saying this. They're a program that I think is very much so poised to take the next step. They played some of their best football at the end of the year. I think they're heading in the right direction. But Fentrell Cypress for them is going to be a weapon on the defensive side of things and should keep that secondary very, very solid in Tallahassee. So Sam Hartman, expected to be with the Fighting Irish very, very soon. Brennan Armstrong. NC State getting the most buzz, but Auburn and Oklahoma State also getting a little bit of noise as well. Spencer Sanders, Ole Miss and Auburn, sound like they're in the running for him. You got Dante Cephas between Pitt and Penn State, according to what we're hearing. And then Anthony Lucas jumped in the portal. I think Alabama makes a ton of sense. He's from the state of Arizona. Maybe ASU or Arizona make a play at him. Keep an eye on that. Then Fentrell Cypress committed to the Florida State Seminoles. The portal's going to keep on buzzing. Make sure you're locked right here for everything transfer portal, everything recruiting, everything college football 12 months out of the year. We got you covered here on the Hard Count on the On3 YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of the Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.